We are joined now by Patrick Andrus, who is the assistant sports editor for the Daily Northwestern, also a Sylvania Northview grad, to give us a little bit of insight into the Northwestern mindset. And Patrick, it's becoming almost a thing now. Ohio State Northwestern Big Ten championship game, second time in 3 years. The Buckeyes and Wildcats will square off in Indy. I think that just shows you a little bit of where Pat Fitzgerald has this program in terms of the Big Ten West.
Yeah, I think it's really unbelievable for people who may be older, people who grew up with Northwestern. It's kind of the punching bag of the Big Ten. There was like a stretch in the late '70s, early '80s when this team won one game in 4 years, and it's just kind of a testament to the different coaches coming in and building on each other. First Gary Barnett, and then Randy Walker, and then eventually Pat Fitzgerald has been the best of all of them. He has brought this program really just this unbelievable run of protracted success. He had them ranked high. I'm trying to think back to 2013. He had them ranked in like the top 15. 2015, they were up there. 2018, they win the Big Ten West. 2020, they win it again. It's really just a testament to how he has guided this program and made it into sort of a lasting power in the Big Ten West.
In fact, that 2013 team, I think that may have even been a top 10 matchup when Ohio State came to Evanston. College game day was there as a big deal. And then Ohio State beat Northwestern, as Ohio State has done every time they've played Northwestern since 2004, and including last year where they hung 50 on the Wildcats in Evanston. Why is this year's Northwestern team better than last year's Northwestern team?
Mark, I think it comes back to pieces that Northwestern did not have last year that they have this year. Last year, it was the last season for a longtime offensive coordinator, Mick McCall. He ran a bit of an antiquated offense. This wasn't a team that was built to score points. It's still not a team built to score a ton of points, but it's certainly built to score more points than last year. It scored 43 on Maryland in the opener. It's just scoring in the mid-20s, which with Northwestern's defense, sometimes that can be the difference. And I think the other big thing is the quarterback position. You look at last year was a bit of a revolving door. Northwestern brings in Hunter Johnson, a 5-star transfer from Clemson. He's widely hyped, and he kind of falls flat. There's some family issues, and Northwestern ends up going with a revolving door. Aiden Smith, T.J. Green, Andrew Marty, just this kind of succession of names varying in and out. And it all ends up with, I'm looking at my notes, 9 touchdowns and 15 interceptions last year for all Northwestern quarterbacks. And you look at 2020, it's night and day. Peyton Ramsey comes in as a grad transfer after a successful career at Indiana. He's thrown 9 touchdowns and 6 interceptions, which may not look overwhelming. No Ohio State quarterback has recorded that low of a touchdown-interception ratio since Terrell Pryor in 2009. But for Northwestern, the style of football they're trying to play, that will work perfectly. His ability to avoid mistakes has propelled Northwestern this year. When he makes mistakes, as he did against Michigan State, Northwestern loses. And when he doesn't, they win handily.
And certainly one of the things that Peyton Ramsey does very well is hand the ball off. Last week against Illinois, a pair of 100-yard rushers, as that ground game for Northwestern has been the key to them all season offensively.
Yeah, last week it was definitely it was a little bit of a surprise because it was actually this season the running attack it's been streaky, but Illinois, it was a little bit of a surprise. But like you said, 2 100-yard rushers, 2 rushes for 400 yards. It's the first time that's happened since 2003 against Illinois. We see the emergence of Cam Porter as RB1. He is a native of Cincinnati. Ohio State fans can look forward to seeing a lot of Ohioans in this game Saturday. And Porter, he really kind of asserted himself as the number 1 running back. Isaiah Bowser, who had 84 scrimmage yards in the 2018 Big Ten title game, which led Northwestern, he's still there. Drake Anderson is a key piece. His father, Damian Anderson, finished 6th in the Heisman voting in 2000. So it's going to be a lot of mixing and matching, I think, on the ground for Northwestern come Saturday.
You mentioned Cam Porter from Ohio. Pat Fitzgerald has recruited Ohio very well, including Northwest Ohio, as you've got Pete Mcintyre from Toledo St. John's, a linebacker for the Wildcats. And he's made a role for himself on special teams, including a few weeks ago, and he was named the Special Teams Player of the Week for Northwestern.
He's been a contributor, definitely. He has a career high in tackles this year, 7 tackles. He only had 5 between 2018 and 2019 combined. He's really becoming a depth piece on what is one of the best defenses in the country. He recorded 4 tackles against Illinois. That's also a career high. And I think that we have the potential to see him. Northwestern's defensive coordinator, Mike Hankwitz, he's retiring after this year. He's 73 years old. He's been coaching for 51 years. So I think he's really going to open up the playbook against Ohio State. He's going to throw a lot of different looks at this high-powered Buckeyes offense, and I would be surprised to see Mcintyre in there with the linebacking core, which is the strength of this team.
You mentioned Coach Hank announced his retirement this week. Do you think there might be a little bit of a let's win one for Coach as he's leaving after a lengthy career? I mean, he's been part of over 400 victories at the Division I level. He's coached at a lot of different places. Is there going to be maybe that sentiment of let's send Coach out with the Big Ten championship?
I think we might see that kind of Earl Bruce kind of sentiment. So let's win one for Hank. The defense has it's been Northwestern's calling card for most of the Pat Fitzgerald era, which is kind of an inversion of in around the turn of the century when Northwestern was rolling out 54 points on Michigan. They're scoring in the 40s, scoring in the 30s. Defense has been the mark of this team for a decade now, and Hankwitz has been a big part of that. And the defense of this team, the linebackers, Patty Fisher, Blake Gallagher, to the secondary, Greg Newsom the second, Brandon Joseph. Most of those players have taken steps forward this season. Joseph, Newsom, and Fisher are all first team All Big Ten, and Hankwitz deserves a lot of credit for that year in, year out. And I think that this defense knows what he's meant to this program, and I think they'll be ready to send him out either in the Big Ten championship or a bowl game or both.
The only loss for Northwestern this year came a couple of weeks ago against Michigan State, a Michigan State team where Ohio State with half their team, almost not quite half the team, but 20-some players sitting at home, a couple of coaches sitting at home because of COVID-19, that Ohio State had no problems against Michigan State, yet Michigan State beat Northwestern. Now, we know the transitive property does not apply to sports, but should Ohio State be feeling pretty confident because they so easily handled Michigan State, who easily handled Northwestern?
Ohio State should be confident, but not overconfident is that would be my message to Ohio State fans. You know, it may seem like Northwestern, they play this very slow, methodical style of football that it's pretty unsightly, to be frank. But Northwestern, they can exploit some of Ohio State's weaknesses. I feel. I think it's going to come down to whether Peyton Ramsey is mistake free. He wasn't against Michigan State. He threw 2 critical interceptions. There was a bad sequence in that game in the fourth quarter after Northwestern had overturned an early deficit. Michigan State gives them the ball, they turn it over, and Northwestern immediately fumbles. If Ohio State's going to pounce on any kind of mistake like that. And so I think Northwestern, if we're reading a story on Sunday that's saying Northwestern shocks Ohio State, I think Northwestern's got to have a 0 or 1 in the turnover column. I think that's going to be the key.
I think if you just look back 2 years ago, the second half of the Big Ten championship game where Northwestern kind of slowed things down and made it a little bit of a closer game, and perhaps that cost Ohio State a chance to get into the college football playoff 2 years ago. They beat Northwestern, but they didn't necessarily get the style points they needed 2 years ago. Maybe that's something that could happen again this Saturday in Indy.
It's going to be really interesting to me. It's going to be fascinating because you look at this Northwestern team, as I mentioned. It's a very, very unsightly team. They play the football they play is not overly aesthetically pleasing. They will. I do think there's a significant chance. I don't know if there's a significant chance Northwestern beats Ohio State. I think there's a significant chance Northwestern kind of drags Ohio State through the mud a little. But I think that this Ohio State team, I do think they're going to try to make a statement. I think that they feel disrespected even though they have been number 4. And whereas I think Northwestern's going to kind of prey on that. You know, I saw this week Sean Wade made a comment. He said, yeah, he came out and said, we're going to be looking for those style points. And Greg Newsom, Northwestern's defensive back, he liked a tweet with the comment in it. So I think it's going to be a fascinating interplay. Is Ohio State going to lose sight of the near-term goal while looking to the future? It's going to be interesting to see if that happens. I don't think it'll happen. I think Ohio State is a more disciplined team than that. But I think it's something Northwestern's going to try and prey upon. It's something Pat Fitzgerald's going to have his team ready for.
All right, thank you very much, Patrick Andrus from the Daily Northwestern, for joining us with your insights on the Northwestern Wildcats.
Thank you, Mark.